watching the news. We have some more interesting news out of Baltimore. I want to be very intentional, and if I say her name incorrectly, but I'm pretty sure it was Corinn Gaines, who was murdered today, or killed, murdered,
lost her life,
murdered, by more Baltimore County police officers. I do want to take a moment of silence. I think Black women have championed the fight for Black lives much more than, I almost want to say much more than men.
Way more.
And I wouldn't be wrong in saying that. They've always stood at the forefront and championed Black lives, specifically Black male lives, Black women lives, Black transgender lives, all the lives that are included in that community. So we want to make sure we're really intentional about saying her name when there's a woman. We're so quick to say what the guys who were killed or the men that are killed, but we want to make sure we're intentional about saying their names, her name, and Corinn Gaines died today, and that's sad. So we're going to take a quick moment of silence. Okay, and so prayers out to her family, good thoughts and vibes as they deal with this tragedy. I think there are a lot of facts that haven't come out about the case yet. There are a lot of details that are missing. I think, I really want to put it out there to y'all, like there's this huge distrust of police in the community. And the facts that are coming out that the police not only shot her and killed her, but they shot her 5-year-old son too.
They injured him, and he's recovering.
You're right, right.
Nothing extreme, no serious injuries, but he was injured. There was sort of a standoff and a back and forth shooting during the event from the current news stories, and he was injured in the fire.
Man, but my mindset when you say it's no serious injury, like me being as a teacher, I can't imagine being a child or being shot. The kind of traumatic event that's going to be in that boy's life is like, I deal with special education children, and a lot of those diagnoses that are coming out for the children in our community are not the Down syndromes and not the cerebral palsies, is emotional disturbances because of the traumatic events that's happening in their lives. So I can only think of how that's going to affect that boy's education.
I mean, but to take that even further, he lost his mother. Now he's going to have to go through life without a mother that he lost at 5 years old. And he has to discern and decipher through life and figure out how to deal with the fact that his mother's life was taken in this crossfire. There's a mistrust right now, or just, we all know long term in black people trusting the police and them policing our communities as we interpret it fairly. So there's just this big discussion going on right now, and I think Corinn is a part of that. But him having to come up in that and know that his mom was maybe possibly a victim of it, but having to rationalize it through his life, I think that's something he's going to have to deal with,
So I want to run it back to the law enforcement standpoint, and it's Gaines. The last name is Gaines, so I apologize. Corinn Gaines. The law enforcement side of it, they like to think I live in this magical world where TV shows us and TV teaches us the lessons of, like, when there's a child involved, like, why are you coming in guns blazing? Like, just like they were serving what they were saying when they were serving her traffic warrants and misdemeanor warrants, just come back and get her another day. Like, where it doesn't have to escalate to the point where you have to come in guns blazing. Even if she had a gun, brandished a gun, like all that stuff is the only person that can counter whatever the police report is dead. So there's no disputing whatever they write. Kind of goes. Yeah. But to my point, as a law enforcement officer, and I put this out to folks that I know that are in the law enforcement community, at what point do you reevaluate the strategy of going in and having a shootout when there are children present? Yeah. I mean, even if they were negotiating, and I read something that they had negotiated with this woman from 9 to 3. And she had threatened to shoot, but there were kids involved. And so at what point is the safety of the kid, like, this is not, like, every movie that I've seen, like, law enforcement pump the brakes when kids are involved. Like, you're not shooting. Like, there's no, so it just goes to a bigger thing. Like, not only are black women's lives not being valued, but black boys' lives.
But we find that as
not,
being true.
Black kids.
We find that being proven. Like, look at Tamir Rice or Trayvon Martin. I mean, if we just take it back to them, I mean, I feel like or even Michael Brown, there's a certain response or reaction to our kids as if they're not kids.
Right.
So, I mean, they went up on Tamir and just immediately shot him and didn't really give him a chance. So, I mean...
2 seconds.
Yeah.
2 seconds.
But I think it goes back, it kind of reminds me of a joke I heard from Daniel Tosh. I know it's a random comedian to bring up. But he was like, yo, I wanted to adopt a little black boy because they're the cutest little things ever. Little black boys are the cutest thing ever. And I'm going to keep them till about 7 or 8 because that's when they get scary. And I'm going to give them back. And I was like... And you know, there's a whole bunch of laughs, but I thought about it like, dang, that's how they kind of think about
7 or 8.
It could be a reflection.
7 or 8. That's when we start getting scary as black people.
But jokes are like a reflection of society
Right.
and how you feel too.
Right.
Yeah, it's ha ha he he funny, but it's coming from a place culturally too. So
he really would give that kid back.
And there are other people that feel that way.
It's true.
Yeah.
It was funny because it was true. Because all the white people.
Well, no, we're not gonna say it's true. Stop it.
No, true for them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
True
for
for
people
them.
that don't understand us. But I mean, I wanted to touch on just something a little different too. I mean, in the articles that are coming out now, Corinn they say she pulled out a weapon and she was, pointing it and going back and forth with the police. I mean, I don't know what was going through her head. I don't think any of us will know now because she's no longer with us. But I mean, it does lead me to think too, with all these stories and everything that's out there and the very real fear in losing your life for very simple things. I mean, she could have thought about those things and said, oh, I'm here, they're getting me for a traffic light, but I could be like traffic charges, but I could be like Sandra Bland and lose my life, so I'm going to protect myself. Right. So, that could be an issue. I mean, I heard my pastor the other day was talking about how there was a white man that came into church, and because of what happened in Charleston, of course, in the Christian community, you're supposed to accept everyone, etc. But there was a little fear because of what happened, which is very real and understandable. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, with all the stories, are we seeing, those kind of reactions too? Is that plausible? Is it feasible? And what do you do about things like that?